when it comes to men and women. Man is the commanding officer, and women are the executive officer. That's how a relationship goes. And if you know anything about the military or management or any organization, you know that where there is a commanding officer, there is an executive officer or a second in command or a deputy or a vice. And the duties of the second in command is to assist the commander. However, if the commander is killed or becomes incompetent in some way, the executive officer or the deputy steps in and takes over. Now, the goals of a man and a woman are to love and respect one another and to suck and fuck one another so that they can reproduce and have children who they will raise to contribute to society in a manner that is positive. Anyway, sometime back, I concluded I was going to make a video about men who want to control women. And often enough, when I listen to the rantings of Kevin Samuels and his cohorts, they sound like madmen. And they sound like men who are hell-bent on subjugating women. Now, I'm going to let y'all guys in on a little secret. For all of you guys out there who want to control women, let me give you the first rule in controlling a woman. The first rule in controlling a woman is understanding there's no controlling a woman. Because what a woman lacks in brawn, she makes up for with wit and cunning. First of all, any man with a half of a brain understands that after a certain age, you have very little to no control over your own children. So if you can't control your children, what the hell make you think that you're going to control their mother or any other woman for that matter? See, in my opinion, and from my experiences, this gorilla shit don't work. You know, you don't want to be in a scenario where you're bullying a woman through fear and coercion or any other harsh means. You're the prize. You're the prize. But first and foremost, you have to know you're the prize. And part of your knowing that you are the prize is you got to command respect. You know, you got to command respect. See, the problem that a lot of guys have is they don't command and they don't demand respect. And you ain't got to be loud. You ain't got to be boisterous. You ain't got to be threatening and intimidating. All you need to do is be stern about your stance. Because a relationship is nothing more than a business arrangement where one of the terms and conditions is the two parties suck and fuck each other. And if your partner or the person with whom you're doing business with can't keep up their end of the deal, then guess what? We gotta pull up the stakes and we gotta roll out. I mean, let's look at this. If you went to your job and you worked a 40-hour work week and you done everything that you were supposed to do, if they shortchanged you by 5 hours worth of work and they didn't pay you, would you continue to work at that job? Well, that's how it is in a relationship. If you're holding up your end of the bargain, if your mate or your girlfriend or your lady, if she's not holding up her end of the bargain, then man, you got to get out of there. See, it's all about respect. And when a relationship is no longer working or the arrangement is no longer working, then you got to roll. Now understand that it is a matter of feelings and emotion for this individual, and it's easier to walk away from a job than a relationship. But hey, you have to look at it as if it's a job. You can't never be afraid to step away from a relationship. I had a great conversation with a guy in my comment section. Initially, he was horrified by the notion of giving a woman her cut and stepping off. And the brother's whole conversation was, you know, he was going for his doctorate. He worked hard, and he said he couldn't imagine hooking up with a woman and giving her half of what he worked so hard to obtain. Well, what I said to that brother is, listen, man, you have to choose well. See, that's the whole thing. I mean, if you are up here on a socio-economical scale, well, you can't go grab the low-hanging fruit. You have to find someone with whom you're attracted to that's on your socio-economic level. You can always go and pay a couple of dollars for some low-hanging fruit, but you don't be a guy with his doctorate degree and you go find some chick that's working at Walmart. The hell with that. You have to find someone with as much to lose as you. See, because she's not going to be worried about trying to take all of your money because she don't want you to take her money. See, that's how that goes. But at the end of the day, if the relationship is not working, you have to cut your losses, because you don't want to go 5 and 10 years with a person because you don't want to divvy up the money. If you marry a person, it's something called marital property. And if the relationship isn't working, it don't make no difference how much it is. Give that person their cut and go on about your business. You don't want to, why stay in a relationship and be miserable? I'm going to give you an example. Mike Tyson, when he fought Michael Spinks, he knocked Michael Spinks out in the first round. Michael Spinks made about $15–20 million for 1 round worth of work. Now, Michael Spinks could have stayed in there and got beat up for 10 rounds. He would have still made the same money, but he would have been in worse shape. Well, that's the same thing with the relationship. If the relationship isn't working, cut your losses, take your cut of the dough, and go. I have a certain level of reverence for the opposite sex, because I have dealt with women under the banner of being a good guy, under the banner of being a bad guy, and under the banner of being an ugly guy. And when I was young and inexperienced and I didn't know any better, I was a good guy. And because I was a good guy, I got ran roughshod over. For no other reason than I was inexperienced. It had absolutely nothing to do with the young ladies that I was dealing with. It had everything to do with me as an inexperienced man. People can't help but to take advantage of someone who is naive and inexperienced. And it takes a real humane person not to take advantage of a person who is naive and inexperienced. As a result of my bad experiences that I had owing to my inexperiences and my naivete, my next step when dealing with women, I became a bad person. I became an ugly person when dealing with the opposite sex. And I didn't like the person that I was when I dealt with the opposite sex, because I have a humane nature. Now, some guys are savages. Some women are savages. And they don't have a problem subjugating someone. Subjugating someone and being cruel to someone is something that doesn't sit well with me. And because it doesn't sit well with me, and because I didn't like how I treated women when I was the bad and I was the ugly, I had to change my ways. And I went back somewhere in the area of being good. And in being good, in dealing with women, I use good judgment. And in the course of my using good judgment, I had one rule. My rule was, I didn't know what I was looking for. I just knew what I wasn't looking for. So when I was out here dating, only thing I looked for with a woman was the disqualifying factors. I could be with a woman and we could be having a great time. However, the whole time we're together, I'm looking for things about her that I don't like. Because I knew in the long run, as soon as we got comfortable and familiar with one another, those things that I didn't like in the beginning, I was going to hate in the long run. In one of the videos that I made, I used the term alpha females. And basically, my definition of an alpha female is a strong, independent woman. I like strong and independent women because I don't like the idea of sponsoring someone. I don't like the idea of being the one who's bringing the most to the table. So for that reason, I've always liked women who were equally yoked with me financially, or maybe had a little bit more than me financially. Well, again, in my remarks columns, a lot of guys were incensed by the notion of having a strong and independent woman who we'll refer to as an alpha female. I've never been intimidated by women like that because, again, women are the executive officer and the man is the commanding officer. And the way I was raised, I don't give a damn how much money you make. That's how it's going to be. Now, the relationship is going to be based on respect. I'm going to respect her and she's going to respect me. But again, I don't care if she make 10 times more than what I make. I'm the man, you're the woman. And if we can't respect each other and you don't have enough respect for me to put me as the head of the relationship and you assume the role of the executive officer, well, I'm out. See, a lot of you guys get intimidated by the money factor. And again, if you don't have your shit together, you don't have no business up in no woman's face. But if you have your shit together and you just happen to run into a woman who's a little bit higher up on the socioeconomic scale than you are, but you guys are interested in each other and there's a possibility of y'all working it out together, you have to be man enough and secure enough about yourself to step into that relationship. And again, the relationship is based on respect. I listened to Coach Greg Adams talking about this free agent lifestyle. And I'll listen to Coach Greg Adams talking about this holding the line. Well, let me tell you something about this free agent lifestyle that guys like Coach Greg Adams be talking about. A free agent lifestyle is lonely, okay? I heard Coach Greg Adams talking about, you know, having his way with loose women and calling this one and calling that one. All of that shit is a lonely, empty life. And whether you be a man or whether you be a woman, nobody wants to have all the toys to play with, but no one to play with the toys with. I was listening to Coach and he had guys calling in, and I got the impression that these guys were barbecuing, they were out boating, and they were out hiking, but I got the impression that they was out doing all of these things by themselves. Now, again, you can say what you want to say, but nobody honestly wants to be by themselves. And everybody can think of someone who they would like to be with and share their toys with. Well, that's the same way how it goes with these women, guys. You get Kevin Samuels get on here all the time talking about how these women got these degrees and they make all this money and they're lonely. Well, that's a fact. Because, again, women, deep down inside, they don't want to live the free agent lifestyle, just like men don't want to live the free agent lifestyle. People belong together, and that's why God put billions of people in the world. Some of them men, some of them women. But guess what? The natural order of things is for men and women to be together. So, with that said, guys, you can't be afraid of being in a relationship. No matter how many times you fail, you gotta get up on the bike and try it again. And you can't have this attitude that if you're not in charge, if you can't control the woman, then you don't want to be in a relationship. Yeah, that's what you say. But what's really cool about eating Thanksgiving dinner in a diner by yourself? What's really cool about bringing in the 4th of July or the New Year by yourself? See, that's the flip side of this conversation when you hear these guys talking about subjugating women, talking about the free agent lifestyle, talking about holding the line. You can keep on holding the line, and guess what? You'll end up somewhere all by yourself, and guess what? You might end up dying alone. We know what Kevin Samuels says about dying alone. Well, just like it's not a good idea for women to die alone, it's not a good idea for men to die alone. And if you don't want to die alone, you learn how to interact with the opposite sex. Because when it's all said and done, God put men and women here to love and respect one another, to suck and fuck one another, and to grow old together. I'm done with it.